Plaintiff Annie Mitchell has had a hard life because she first got pregnant at age 14 and was forced into a marriage. Annie claims 2 years ago she was robbed, stabbed in the neck, and nearly murdered. And while trying to get back on her feet, she gave the defendant, her former friend, a loan. But she's suing because she has yet to be repaid. Defendant Louisa Tinson says she too has had a hard life because she's a 3-time cancer survivor. Louisa claims she and Annie bonded over issues they were having with their sons. And although she admits to the loan, she insists she attempted to repay via MoneyGram, and Annie refused to accept it.
Start with you.
Judge, I'm a survivor. I've had to overcome since I was very, very young. And at age 14, I became pregnant and I was forced into a marriage. I had to drop out of school. I was a straight A student, by the way. And
how old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
68.
Because Dora was over here making eyes.
I can generate some hormones if I have to.
You're sharp.
Thank you.
So when you
good.
take that extra step and look that nice, I'll let you know.
Okay.
You've had obstacles. What type of obstacles in your life?
Well, I was forced to marry, which was already abusive before we married.
Forced by whom? Your parents or
my
something?
mom.
Yeah, back in
My
that
mom.
day. You have children? What you say? You have one child?
No, I ended up with 3 kids before I was age 18. I had 3 kids by age 17. But anyway, now we're in California, and I get pregnant with, I'm coming with my 3rd child, and he abandons us. I'm 3 months pregnant. So by the time he's 2 years old, I go to data processing school. And I finished that 6-month course, took my GED. I passed in all areas, by the way. And I started my career in data processing. I even bought a home at age 21, and I raised my kids.
Really?
Yes.
Congratulations.
I'm a survivor. I've had to overcome since I was very, very young. And at age 14, I became pregnant and I was forced into a marriage. I had to drop out of school.
Plaintiff Annie Mitchell says after she was nearly murdered during a home invasion, she gave the defendant, her former friend, a loan. But she's suing because she has yet to be repaid.
Go ahead.
I had to overcome many obstacles, but this one I want to tell you about. April 2014, I survived an attempted robbery and attempted murder and robbery,
What
home
city?
invasion, Palmdale, California. By way of my son, who's on drugs, he met and was out there in the world and ended up owing a drug dealer $231. So they came after me. I didn't know that at the time, so when they knocked on the door in pretense that they were concerned about my son, they knew my son, I opened the door. 2 men stormed in, made all kinds of threats. It's a long story, but he ended up strangling me, left me for dead. Last I remember, I was dead. However, by God's grace, it appears around 3 hours later, I came back to consciousness. Made it to the hospital, and here's where I found out they stabbed me in the neck too. And they stole everything, my car, my goods, my iPhone, my keys. And
you survived.
I survived.
Has your son been in recovery at all?
No. He was born as a paranoid schizophrenic trauma in the 3rd trimester.
Got it. You're predisposed to heavy drug abuse whenever you have a mental illness.
Yes, that would happen.
Because you're self-medicating, that's what they call it. It addresses whatever you're feeling. It's understandable, but he has to fight like a lot of other folks. Yes. And I know so much about it because I know a lot of folks who have fought. And I was attention deficit disorder as a child. Many people grow out of it, and I was one of them, even though y'all see me sometimes scattered and jumping around. But I learned how to manage it, and adults, many of them learn how to manage it. And so I always like to educate about that, and I'm an advocate and work with some mental health folks in that area. So I sympathize with him, and we'll pray for him.
Yes, thank you. I say there's hope. He's still alive. I said, there's hope, he is still alive.
Yep. Where do you know the defendant from?
I had gone down to public housing, and this is where I met Louisa. And we hooked up right away, had similar, testimonies. She had overcome breast cancer.
If you don't mind, I'm going to stop you and let her give some background.
Like Ms. Mitchell said, I am a cancer survivor. In fact, I'm a 3-time cancer
Oh,
survivor.
my goodness. What type of cancer?
I had vulvar cancer, which is a female cancer, in 2001.
Yeah.
I had my left ovarian and left fallopian tube removed in 2010. And last year, I had a bilateral double mastectomy. I did 7 months of chemo, and I did 5 days of radiation, 5 days a week. And I still suffer.
How long?
I did it for 25 days of radiation.
Yeah.
They fried me so bad I had burn marks on my back. The chemo literally took the feeling out of my feet. Today, I still can't feel my toes and my fingertips. So I've overcome obstacles too.
Yeah. And I'm glad you all bring your testimonies here, like you say. It's an inspiration to folks who are still struggling. So thank you, ladies, both.
Thank you.
And do you agree with everything she said so far about you all meeting?
Oh, absolutely. We did meet at the
And
Housing
everything
Authority.
went like that?
And I'm a natural conversationalist. I sat down next to her and I said hi. And,
Okay.
we...
Okay. Now, how does she owe you the money he was doing for, $550?
Well, we continued to talk, and on one occasion, she asked to borrow $50. She was pretty distressed. She was crying regarding her son in another state. And he was facing court, and she couldn't go to that state, and she couldn't even talk to him. She needed phone time money on her card. And I kept saying, I only have $70, but she was, pretty adamant about that I had it to give it to her. I could, and which I did. And she said she would pay me back on the 26th.
When?
Of May.
26th of May?
May 26th.
And has not,
No,
obviously?
however, May 26th came and went. And I called her on the 27th. What happened? She said her check didn't deposit, which I find hard to believe because she's a veteran of the Navy, and that's automatic deposit. But so I said, okay, thanks. And so
she hadn't paid yet,
No,
obviously.
she hasn't paid.
And that's $50. What the $500 is the emotional distress?
Yes.
What's that for? What happened?
Well, emotional distress because she avoided me and treated me like I was a criminal. I even had to go back to her door, and she refused to let me in or talk to me.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do that.
But I did because I had no animosity against her. I want my $50 at this point. But she didn't talk to me, and I realized, I said to her, you know what? You have no intentions of paying me. And I walked off and went straight to the sheriff's department.
Okay, good.
It's a long story, but he ended up strangling me, left me for dead. Last I remember, I was dead. However, by God's grace, it appears around 3 hours later, I came back to consciousness. Made it to the hospital, and here's where I found out they stabbed me in the neck, too.
Plaintiff Annie Mitchell says after she was nearly murdered during a home invasion, she gave the defendant, her former friend, a loan. But she's suing because she has yet to be repaid.
All right, let me hear from you
Judge
about
Mathis,
this.
please. When our relationship started, it started as a phone relationship. From the time we started and sat down in the Housing Authority, when I first addressed her, she started complaining about her son. My son is facing a very serious situation. He's getting ready to go away for a long time. He's 25. So I identified with her when she started talking about her son. But my Christian faith brings me through and carries me through, and that stops me from being a victim. So even before we get to the $50, during the course of our phone relationship, I invited her to breakfast where I asked to borrow $20 to put on my son's phone.
No, she asked for $30, Your Honor.
I asked her to borrow $20 to put on my phone so my son could call me, and she said, I'm gonna give you $30. You don't have to pay that back. That was at the beginning of April. Complained and complained about everything, Your Honor. I cooked her breakfast. I don't like pepper. Do you have sage? No, I don't. I was watching TV. I don't like TV. I do the internet. And I still wanted to befriend her because I don't have too many female single friends.
So tell me about the loan she's talking about, the $50.
Come the beginning of May, I asked her if I could borrow $50.
Why haven't you paid her this $50 then?
I'm off, Your Honor. I got my check on the 25th of May.
So why do you think she's suing then if you
I
offered to pay her?
offered to MoneyGram her the money. She didn't want the money,
No, she
MoneyGram,
didn't.
Your Honor. She told me, I gave it to you in your hand. I wanted it back in my hand.
No, no.
I didn't want to deal with her anymore, Your Honor, so I was just going to wire
But you
MoneyGram
do
her
agree
the
you
money.
owe her?
Oh, yes.
All
and
right,
I also
good.
agree that I attempted to pay her by MoneyGram. You got the
She
MoneyGram?
agrees that she owe you.
Do you have the
man.
No,
MoneyGram?
here's the proof that she did. She told me her check didn't post.
All right.
And she didn't get the money. And I called her the day after and
Do
she
you
said
have,
she
do
still
you
didn't
have
have
the
it.
MoneyGram?
I'm talking
do you
to
have,
the
do you
judge.
have the MoneyGram?
All right. I can, ma'am.
Ask
she
her
did.
if she has the MoneyGram.
Ma'am, you said your check didn't post, as she says. And so that's one little area that, you know, you prayed over.
Ask her if... Ask her...
You decided you was going to
Your
do
Honor,
right today.
Your Honor, ask her if she has the text with the
We are
MoneyGram.
together. You all are friends. Maintain your friendship. We're going to grant her judgment of 50. Ma'am, I'm not going to grant you the 500. Going to folks' house is a form of harassment that in many instances you can get in trouble for. So I'll grant you your $50.
Okay, thank you very
All right.
much.
Have a good day.
Right.
I have no animosity against Miss Mitchell. I really did appreciate her lending me the $50 because I really did need to communicate with my son.
No, I don't want to be friends with somebody that treated me the way that she did. So I never plan to communicate with her anymore.
That's fine with me because you know what? It's a wonder she doesn't have a string quartet with a violin because she's always the victim. I'm a victor.